The co-players of the year battle it out for an Ohio State championship in Division IV. Defending champion Hiland against undefeated Jackson Center. Championship time right now on Sports Time Ohio. There is a state championship feeling inside the Schottenstein Center here on the campus of Ohio State University in Columbus. Let's start with our OHSAA Boys Division IV final. Hiland's Hawks, the defending champions against the Tigers of Jackson Center. Good morning, everybody. Great to see you. Delighted you're here. Michael Regai, my partner, former Ohio State Buckeye Tony White. Just one loss between these two basketball teams this year. Hiland's Hawks, the defending Division IV state champion, and in Dylan Kaufman, Tony, the co-player of the year. They have truly one of the most exceptional front court players in this state.
Well, over 25 wins for Berlin Hiland, and Dylan Kaufman's been a tremendous part of that. This kid is an all-everything. The school's all-time leading scorer, all-time leading rebounder, all-time leading in assists and steals. He does everything. Plus, he's the best defender on the team. He's going to go out there and do a heck of a lot for Berlin Hiland.
An exceptional all-around talent. Let's take a look at the starting five, brought to you by Farmers Insurance. Highland starters brought to you by the agent of the game, Angela Hall from Ontario. Seeger Bonifant has been exceptional this year with Neil Gingrich. That combined with Dylan Kaufman, a lot of size on that front line for that man, head coach Mark Schleybaugh, and trying to win another state championship at D4.
Yeah, I saw his game last year. His teams are prepared and tough.
All right, Jackson Center, a ball club. Speaking of prepared and tough, undefeated this year. They got tested by Columbus Afrocentric in the semis, but Andy Hoyne was tremendous down the stretch. Had a big performance to lead him to the win.
Well, if you're undefeated, you're pretty good. Andy Hoyne averaging 16 points and over 7 rebounds a game. And the best defender his coach has seen in 23 years. He's a tough all-around matchup, does a lot of different things on the court. Hiland's going to have to know where Andy Hoyne is.
Jackson Center starters brought to you by the agent of the game, James Sira from Finley. Keep an eye on Alex Meyer, the junior. He, along with Andy Hoyne, were very special in that comeback win. Eric Ryder, Troy Opperman, and Trey Elkert, the son of that man, head coach Scott Elkert, second stint at Jackson Center. He'd love to go to 28-0 today and cap off an undefeated season.
Yeah, 27 straight wins. You know, that's a tremendous year, but I'll tell you, they're all worried about the 28. That's the one that matters right now.
All right, time for Tony White to break down our marathon keys to the game. Marathon fueling an American spirit. What's the vital signs, Tony?
Well, Hiland's one of the biggest teams you've seen in Division IV. Two players at 6'7", another at 6'4". They've got to use that height. Gives them an advantage in the post, have to get it down there, have to use it. And that just doesn't mean post up, dominate inside by getting on the glass and blocking shots. For Jackson Center, they got to hit the boards. They're smaller, but rebounding is effort. And finally, they can't rely on the three. You got to move your ball and get some offense going inside the three-point line.
All right, this morning's team color is brought to you by East Bay, the athletic sports source. Hiland's Hawks trying to defend that state championship, wearing their road blacks trimmed in the red. And for the Tigers of Jackson Center, they'll be in the home whites trimmed in the orange and black. Stage is set. Oh, the energy level is at a premium inside the Schottenstein Center. Time to get you to the hoop and decide state championships all day long. Matthew Abbott, Michael Rauch, and Donald Cass Jr., the gentlemen that officiate today. And Hiland's Hawks back up their D4 state championship of a year ago. That triple is hoisted by Hiland's Dylan Kaufman that didn't go. Hiland, a very, very fine offensive basketball team, Tony. Very patient, and yet have a lot of weapons, too.
Well, they are, but Jackson Center's a very good defensive team coming out in a tough man-to-man. They're going to get up in passing lanes, challenge every shot.
First three from Seeger Bonifant did not go. So Hiland's Hawks start 0 for 2 from the floor at the offensive end. Now Jackson Center, as we mentioned, they were down 15. Got off to a shaky start in the semis against Columbus Afrocentric. Tony, their second half was superb, both ends of the floor.
Yeah, they played really well to come back and win that game. And they're going to be facing another good defensive team in Hiland, only giving up 40 points a game on defense.
Trey Elkert couldn't find the three, so we've had three three-point attempts, a pair from Hiland, and Trey Elkert's missed three from Jackson Center. Hoffman's going to unload. A little bit too firm off that back heel.
Nerve showing for both these teams in the open. They're both taking some shots probably they wouldn't want to take if they diagrammed them up. A little more patience, run the offense. No shot clock in high school basketball. Just take your time, find the right shot, get the ball down low, especially if you're Hiland.
Troy Opperman came out very early today. Injured. Now this is ripped away, and the steal from Dylan Kaufman. They go to the hoop, got it to drop with the foul.
Nice steal here. Watch the good hands. Reach in, rip him, get the basketball, then take it down full length of the court, stay under control, and get the foul on the layup. Nice play.
What a tremendous performance, as we mentioned, in the semis for Dylan Kaufman, the Division IV Co-Player of the Year. Kaufman will complete that three-point trip. He went for 20 points on 9 of 15 from the floor in that victory on Thursday morning.
He's a tough player. You just saw his defensive skills. The kid can play defense, but he can turn that defense into offense once he creates turnovers.
Now Hoyne got shut off baseline.
Jackson Center really needs to find some offense. That's probably not it. Heaving an NBA three is not exactly the path to the state championship.
Alex Meyer, their best catch-and-fire three-point shooter. Honorable mention, Division IV talent.
Nothing wrong with catching fire, but I think you got to be able to see the rim before you can fire, can't you?
Bonifant to knock down that jumper.
Important possession for Jackson Center. Got to come down, settle down. They're playing against the defending state champions. They're undefeated, Jackson Center. They've had a lot of success. Just got to settle down and do the things that brought you here and won every single game you've laced up the shoes for.
In traffic,
Good
Andy
hustle.
Hoyne didn't get it to fall, but an offensive board. Elkert will attack the rim. That's swallowed up. The rejection from Neil Gingrich as Alex Meyer had it swatted away. All right, 3 minutes plus in. Highlands Hawks trying to back up another D4 state championship off to the quick 5-0 start.
This OHSAA Boys Basketball Championship is brought to you by Farmers Insurance. We are insurance, we are farmers. By Taco Bell, Live Moss. By Time Warner Cable. Enjoy sports better only with Time Warner Cable. And by Marathon, fueling the American spirit.
Highlands Hawks off to a quick 5-0 beginning. As we wind up the high school basketball season. Baseball in the air here on Sports Time Ohio. Opening day less than 2 weeks away. Still got a full week of spring training coverage for you on Sports Time Ohio next week, 9:30. Spring Training Daily. Matt Underwood from Arizona, along with Al Pulowski and Jason Stanford from the studio in downtown Cleveland. Updates on the fifth starter, who's playing the hot corner, third base, and a whole lot more. Spring Training Daily starts Monday at 9:30 right here on Sports Time Ohio. We'll see if Jackson Center can use that timeout to get their offensive game going, and right on cue they do as Alex Meyer, honorable mention D4, will knock down his jumper.
Highland just forgot about Meyer, just left him standing there at the elbow, and if you're standing at the elbow, you got with nobody on you, you'd better shoot it, and typically you're going to make that shot.
Yeah, Meyer was terrific down the stretch as well in the semifinals. They like to get him looks, and they space the floor, according to head coach Scott Elkert. That Dylan Kaufman jumper grazed the front of the rim, and Hoyne wants to push for Jackson Center. Meyer to raise up. Missed that jumper, and Kaufman wants to push now for Highlands Hawks.
Dylan Kaufman really aggressive to start this game, grabbing the basketball, pushing at every opportunity.
That's Seeger Bonifant to drill that triple. Tony, you talk about one of the biggest threes in the history of Ohio State high school basketball. 0.4 of a second left in the regional final, and Bonifant connected on the three from deep in the corner to beat Richmond Heights by 1.
Well, he just showed again that range, hitting that shot against Jackson Center. They've got to account for him because Seeger Bonifant can shoot from the three-point line.
Bonifant there on the defensive side, just tying up Andy Hoying. Two very, very fine defensive basketball teams. Both of them pride themselves on their toughness, principles on the defensive end. Eric Ryder couldn't finish around the hoop. Had a third opportunity and get it to fall. Ryder finding the rim unkind at the offensive end.
There's that height of Hiland affecting the shot. And although the offensive rebounds were there for Ryder, affecting every shot he took, unable to get the ball down because of the size that Hiland presents down low. That's an advantage that Jackson Center really has to find a way to negate.
6'7", 6'7", 6'5", and D4.
Sometimes you got to shoot over top of that. That's why Jackson Center is going to be important for them, for their guards to be able to shoot well today.
Bonifant on the baseline, step back and ring it up.
Nice move by Seeger Bonifant, going left and then fading away nicely with the contact. Time for Jackson Center to get some offense going and show why they're undefeated.
Bonifant with a quick 5. Now Hiland has stretched that lead up to 8. That's rejected by Kaufman as he swatted Andy Hoying. And now that Jackson Center reach-in foul is going to go.
When you have a height advantage like Hiland, it's almost unfair when you got players who can just shoot some basketballs from out there. Watch the height advantage, blocking a couple shots. Ryder gets his rebound back twice, but still can't put it in because simply the height of Hiland presented such an option.
Already 3 blocked shots for the Hiland Hawks. And Jackson Center with that to contend with on the offensive end. This is Bonifant on that post-up game. That tough jumper wouldn't fall. Now working the offensive glass for Hiland. Todd Ropp, the 6'1" sophomore. 12 minutes off the bench in the semis.
Nice fadeaway by Seeger Bonifant, but misses it. But nice rebound down low. Now it's starting with the little guys are out there rebounding. Little guys, you say that respectively, but this Hiland team,
sure,
they have such big guys. But when everybody starts to rebound, you become a very dangerous team on the offensive end. And Hiland, you can see they have that rebounding mentality because of their size. They know that's a weapon, and they're using it. And Jackson Center has got to get somebody on their back.
Todd Ropp will connect on a pair from the line. Jackson Center just 1 of 10 for head coach Scott Elkert. His 12th season and second stint. And that rainbow 3 is not going to drop from Eric Ryder. And on the push is Jason Miller.
Not a bad shot that time by Jackson Center. An open 3. It's time to take those. You don't want to pass up open 3s even though you're not making them.
Speaking of open 3s, Chase Gerber had it rattle and then drop. And right now at both ends of the floor, Hiland's Hawks are in a very strong groove, off to a 13-point advantage.
Well, as cold as Jackson Center is as hot as Hiland is, shooting 50% from the floor and making it from everywhere. But maybe that's going to change things for Jackson Center.
Trey Elkert, the splash at 3. Top 3-point marksman of this Jackson Center squad. Connected on 47 of them in the regular season. Kaufman will step out. Basketball belongs to the Tigers of Jackson Center.
Well, again, this Hiland team can move the basketball and they can shoot from a lot of points on the compass. That's just a nice roll. When you know when you're shooting well and the ball rolls like that. And for Jackson Center, they can score from the 3-point line too, but they really need to get some offense going inside the 3-point line. And a last possession shot here where they maybe make one going into the second quarter could help.
Meyer with that long-range triple.
Not a good shot. That was not a good shot by Meyer.
Kaufman off the push with strength, and he's going to the free throw line. Trying to draw that charge for Jackson Center was Gavin Wildermuth, the 6-foot freshman, just 15 years of age. As you see, Scott Elkert and his ball club with regard to transition defense at defensive end.
Well, if you're Jackson Center, if you're a player out there, you better be hustling back on the defensive end to get back if you've missed a shot, because Berlin Hiland is moving the basketball up the court, and that really means, Dylan Kaufman. That kid is pushing it. Every time he touches it, he's taking it to the rim and trying to pick the pace up. So Jackson Center, they're going to, transition defense is going to be huge. You can't make mistakes like that, though.
Kaufman misses a pair from the free throw line, and Andy Hoying wasn't able to save. Dylan Kaufman, one of the most highly decorated players we've had in Division IV. Seeger Bonifant with that offensive foul. He cleared off, trying to gain some advantage down in that baseline.
Good defensive play by Andy Hoying. Talked about how good he was as a defender all year for this Jackson Center team. He showed it there, held his position down low. Seeger Bonifant didn't push away from the contact, instead tried to push through it and ran over Andy Hoying for the offensive foul.
Yeah, Jackson Center head coach Scott Elkert was telling us, Hoying's offensive skills speak for themselves. But Tony, he's just an absolutely dynamic defender, the best that he's coached in 23 years.
And he showed it there. This is a big possession for Jackson Center. It'd be big for them to make a shot here. Can't do it.
And that is going to bring the first 8 minutes of basketball to an end. One quarter in the books. Highlands Hawks at 26-1, trying to back up their D4 state championship and be the first since Columbus Worley to go back-to-back in Division IV in the late 80s. Highland off to a 10-point advantage. They'll go away. Second quarter D4 final at you next. Highlands Hawks off to a wonderful start. They've got this 10-point advantage in the Division IV state championship finale. I want to say good morning to the third member of our telecast team as we say hi to Amanda Turk. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning, Michael. I'm sitting here with Roxanne Price, one of the associate commissioners of the OHSA. Roxanne, one of your duties is to interpret the bylaws. Tell the parents at home what's important about the eligibility standards.
Well, first of all, I think parents need to understand that athletics is a privilege and not a right, and there are standards to participate. And one of the bylaws they need to be most concerned with is the transfer bylaw, and I would also say the scholarship bylaw, because there are things that students have to do in order to earn that privilege.
Now, before every sports season, schools and coaches put on special meetings. Why did parents need to attend these meetings?
So that they can understand what the bylaws are and understand how those bylaws and those sports regulations affect their student athletes.
All right, thank you, Roxanne.
Thank you.
Back to you.
All right, Amanda, appreciate that. Good to see Roxanne Price and all of the outstanding Ohio High School Athletic Association administrators. Jackson Center with that first offensive possession, and they're going to get to the free throw line as Andy Hoying, the first-team Ohioan Division IV Co-Player of the Year, with Dylan Kaufman of Highlands Hawks.
That first quarter for Jackson Center was some good news, but mostly bad news. The good news is they seemingly, on the stat sheet, they held it with Highland on the glass. Only a 10-8 advantage in Highland, a -2 for Jackson Center, which is not terrible. On the bad news side, 2 of 13 shooting is not going to get you a state championship. So Jackson Center is going to have to figure out a way to score the basketball, and they've also got to figure out a way to stop this multifaceted offense of Highland.
Highlands Hawks in their road blacks. Gingerich with that jump hook that wouldn't drop, and Hoying will get up on the glass.
Hoying starting to exert his control on both ends of the court. Offensively, now rebounding the ball. Let's see if he gets it back and does something.
Off the
nice
spin.
move.
Working that window is Andy Hoying. It's a 7-0 run for Jackson Center to bring themselves back within 6.
I like that both these teams, their best players are big guys. Big guys are the best part about the game of basketball. Not that I'm prejudiced or anything.
Of course
but,
not.
That's the type of play we want, inside play.
Dylan Kaufman, you can count that with one more coming at the line, as Scott Elker, Jackson Center's head coach, not believing.
Nice spin move by Andy Hoying, using his feet. Spinning a basketball quickly, one dribble up before his man could block his shot from behind. Didn't jump higher, just jumped quicker and smarter than his defender. And I'll tell you, that's an excellent post move.
Second personal foul for Alex Meyer, the 6'2" junior that averages 13 a game. Eric Ryder is back on the floor now as Kaufman will finish off that three-point opportunity.
Good answer by Dylan Kaufman at the other end for Highland. A nice move by Andy Hoying after Jackson Center started to feel a little bit. That's the coach's son for Trey Elkert on that shot. I don't think he was listening at dinner table when he decided to take that shot.
That was beyond the hash mark at about 29 feet or so.
I had a chance to block his shot from over here on that one.
It was that deep. Just underway the second quarter. Michael Regai, Tony White, Abandon Turk, and all of our Sports Time Ohio crew. The Schottenstein Center, Value City Arena. All roads lead to Lane Avenue and Fred Taylor Drive right here in the city of Columbus. For the side championship, Hoying got swatted by Neil Gingerich, the 6'7" senior.
That's how tough it is playing against Hiland. You beat your man, as Hoying did, but it's the second 6'7" guy you got to worry about. It's not the first 6'7" guy you beat. You got to worry about the other guy.
That's a clear off, an offensive foul. It's going to go on Troy Opperman, the 6' senior.
That was a bad call by the official. That was a flop by the defender. I understand high school basketball. You want to keep it tight and you want to keep it close. But let's all recognize what a flop is, and that was a flop. You want to let these kids play a little bit.
That traffic in the offensive end. Now Gingerich off the spin. Bonifant to unload. Bang.
Good movement by Hiland, moving it around the clock, making Jackson Center rotate it in at the end, burying the three on the offensive end.
Well, he can stroke that three as well as anybody we've seen down here at the state championships this weekend in Columbus. Very gifted talent. Opperman got loose in the paint, dropped that floater home for Jackson Center.
And it was all started by a great pass by Trey Elkhart, going to his left, and a quick bounce pass down low. Excellent court vision by Elkhart.
Tony, get the sense now that Jackson Center has found a little bit of an offensive flow and an offensive groove.
They have, but they need to figure out a way to stop Hiland on the defensive end, because they're starting with a 10-point deficit, and you can't eat into that if you're going to keep giving up buckets to Hiland when you score on the offensive end.
And this is exactly how they started against Columbus Afrocentric on Thursday morning. Trouble offensively, weren't running their sets, weren't getting good looks.
Hiland's in a situation now where they can be patient. Just move the ball around a little bit, wait till you get a good shot.
Bonifant off the jab step, and he'll stick that jumper. Talk about good grooves. This young man's got it in full flow at the offensive end.
Yeah, that was a nice shot. He got a little separation. It was still contested, but able to knock it down.
Seeger Bonifant off to the terrific beginning. Bonifant 5 of 7 from the floor. He's got 12. Now Kaufman's going to bound, and Dylan Kaufman initiating that run.
Good transition defense by Jackson Center that time. You can see Hiland looking to push it. Jackson Center got back and stopped that fast break, forced a half-court possession.
Jason Miller and Seeger Bonifant playing that two-man game. Bonifant trying to whistle that pass to teammate Dylan Kaufman. Turn it over for just the second time for Hiland's Hawks. Seeger Bonifant, catch and shoot guy. He's got a dozen. Hiland's Hawks up by a dozen. Come on back with us. Berlin Highlands won 21 in a row. Harvest Prep's won 12 in a row. Who's going to blink first? Raising up and going glass is Seeger Bonifant. Start up the boisterous cheering section for Berlin Highlands. It is over, and Berlin Highlands Hawks, your D4 state champion. And they're back looking to repeat. They beat Harvest Prep, Tony, 63-48 last year. And I mentioned a little bit ago, if they repeat today, you have to go back in Division 4 to Columbus Worley, who won 3 straight in the late 80s. And that was when Division, remember, it used to be AAA and AAA.
Right. Well, it's a tremendous accomplishment if Hiland can pull it off, and they're well on their way with a 12-point lead right now. Jackson Center might have something to say about that. You know, an undefeated team, Division 4 or any division, is pretty impressive. So this team they're not out of anything anytime they're on the court, because they're used to winning.
Opperman under the hoop and decided to try to bounce that pass with a lot of sizzle on it. It will stay with Jackson Center. Well, Tony, we speak of that comeback win, too, the other day. Let's not forget, they shot 66% in that second half as they battled back from 15 down to best Columbus Afrocentric.
You know, this Jackson Center team, I mean, you know, they're going to have a matchup problem with this Hiland team because Hiland can score in bunches, and they're big and they're talented, and that's the problem they face. They're never out of any game. They showed that last year in the state championship game, and they're showing it here. You got to play at the top of your game if you're going to beat the defending state champion Hiland Hawks.
Absolutely. Dylan Kaufman just picked up his first personal foul. That's 3 on Hiland's Hawks. Trey Elkert and Troy Opperman trying to find Andy Hoying down on the block, and he had it rejected by Gingerich. Another block shot around that hoop for Hiland.
It's tough duty right now for Andy Hoying. He's really the only guy scoring for this Jackson Center team, and Hiland knows that. All those big guys are just circling around him. Somebody from the outside for Jackson Center's got to make some shots to open up the post for Andy Hoying.
Jason Miller and Chase Gerber, that guard tandem. And that is Jason Miller, and he will sweet stroke that 3.
No diversity of scoring problems for Hiland. They got a lot of players out there that are hitting the shots today. Jackson Center a little envious as all those shooters right now.
Back up that triple of Miller's is Gavin Wildermuth. He's a freshman. He's 15 years of age, and that 6-footer shot it with confidence.
That's exactly what Jackson Center needs. They need some players that are not 20-point scorers to step up and hit some shots so they can get something going on the offensive end.
Gerber got shut off. This is Gingerich with that left-handed jumper that won't fall. Trey Elkert had a rebound and then came down in that baseline, give it back to Hiland's Hawks. Scott Elkert, not sure he agrees.
I think Scott Elkert was looking for a little bit of contact here on the rebound. You know, first of all, look at that 3-point ball going up. Great movement by Hiland. And again, Jackson Center coming down and finally hitting a 3-point shot to bury their side of things.
Bonifant to unload, and he's on fire. He continues to stall the way, sticking another 3. He's got 15.
Yeah, great first half by Seeger Bonifant. He's really showing the ability to score from all over the court with his size and with his shooting ability. No answer for Jackson Center on the defensive end for him.
It's going to be a blocking foul that is going to be called on Hiland's Chase Gerber. Remember last year we just saw Jason Miller hit a 3. We saw Jalen Miller and Noah Boyd were the senior standouts on that squad that we called winning that state title over Harvest Prep.
Yeah, they were a good basketball team. Showed it with the state championship. Andy Hoying not giving up. He's fighting tooth and nail to try and keep this team in it. But he needs somebody else to start making some shots consistently, and they got to play some defense. You know, they're almost at 30 points for Hiland. It's hard to give Hiland 29, 30 points in the first half and really stay in contact with it.
Hoying with his second field goal make, and got that to fall in traffic as we hit 90 seconds left of this first half. Pretty up and under move from Neil Gingerich, the 6'7" senior, went glass and got it to fall.
Nice move, disciplined, practiced, excellent.
Trey Elkert was dancing on that baseline but didn't get it to fall. And now we'll come inside the 60-second mark of this first half, and Hiland's Hawks offensively proficient, 11 and 19 from the floor, and with a 15-point lead and only 2 turnovers. Kaufman had a good look at 3. Offensive board from Jason Miller, and that reach-in foul is going to go on Jackson Center's Andy Hoying.
Good inbound pass by Jackson Center, getting it down to Andy Hoying and scoring with the contact, being strong. And a nice post-up move here by Gingerich, going up and under. Talented Hiland team on the offensive end.
17th foul on Jackson Center. As you look at Levi Winter, he just checked in, wearing number 34, and at the free throw line for Hiland, Jason Miller. One of the glue guys of this basketball team, and you see the numbers, and of course, you've got to have those complementary pieces to Dylan Kaufman and Seeger Bonifant.
Yeah, Hiland has a lot of those complementary pieces. They have players who can come in and do the job. Your Jackson Center coming down here, you probably wait to take a last shot. You don't want to be down any more than 17 going into halftime. So you probably wait, you take the last shot, you hope you bury it, and go in and get the Band-Aids out and see if you can figure out how to tape that game plan back together.
That'll be Scott Elkert's job, he and his coaching staff. This Hiland Hawks crowd, and defensively, speak of Jackson Center on the defensive end, they've been superb, but so has Hiland. That's going to be a reach-in foul. Just team foul number 5, though, is going to go on Todd Ropp, the 6'1 sophomore.
Not a bad foul. I mean,
it's still a foul again.
Right, absolutely. You're going to be aggressive defensively. You're going to force Jackson Center to handle the ball against defensive pressure. And you're not going to the free throw line, so you get them out of their rhythm, and now they're forced to set up a last-second shot in the last 10 seconds of the half.
Yeah, without Andy Hoying on the floor in this situation, there's going to be your turnover, as it's going to be Hiland with the final opportunity, as it was thrown away by Gavin Wildermuth, the freshman. A 4.2, Dylan Kaufman will re-enter. And I'm sure he's going to initiate offense with 4:2 left.
Well, that last possession was emblematic of Jackson Center's first half. Very frustrating, unable to connect on much of anything.
Kaufman with a look.
Oh,
he
wow.
was sticking at that first half buzzer.
The dagger.
Initiate offense, yeah, and then some. On the catch and run, and then delivery of that big 3 at the first half buzzer.
Unbelievable. Dylan Kaufman's been pushing it all game up the court. That time was not going to be denied. Nobody from Jackson Center came up to challenge him. Down the court, 3-point jumper.
Amanda Turk has Hiland Hawks head coach Mark Slabaugh. Amanda?
Thanks, Michael. Coach, consecutive stops, consecutive scores is something you live by all season. How do you think you're doing today?
Well, I don't know if we can play much better than we played in the first half, but we know they're going to come out and have a great second half. We're going to have to be even better in the second half.
How do you keep your team's composure when you've had the momentum the whole first half and the second half so it doesn't slip away?
Well, it's going to be tough because we know they're going to play really hard, but we just got to be smart the whole second half, not foul them, and hopefully be able to put them away.
All right, Coach, good luck next half. Back to you.
All right, Amanda. Mark Slabaugh, why not? His ball club up by 20 and getting absolutely everything they want on the offensive end of the floor. We'll come back and break that down for you. Division IV state championship at hand, and Hiland's Hawks with a strong first half. We welcome you to the Farmers Insurance Halftime Show. Find a knowledgeable local farmers agent at farmers.com. Farmers is insurance. They are farmers. Hope you're enjoying, everybody. The first of 4 boys state championships here inside the Schottenstein Center. Michael Rega and my partner, Tony White. Listen, when you shoot 57% from the floor and 66% from beyond the arc in the first half, that's a recipe for defending your Division IV state championship. Hiland playing beautiful basketball.
Well, Coach Mark Slabaugh from Hiland said it right. He said, I don't think we can play any better than that. And he's right. I mean, they were making shots from the three-point line. Their size down low really affected Jackson Center. They were dominating the glass. Defensively, hard to get anything in there against Jackson Center in the paint because of their size. That was an impressive first half by Hiland.
Sure, swarming on the defensive end as well. You combine the block shot work around the rims with that offensive performance. And a young man that was a Division II team member in Division IV, Seeger Bonifant, was exceptional with his all-around
Bob
offensive
just told
game.
me that
this
Deborah will not be on
one-two
her.
punch
She's
between Dylan
on her
Kaufman
way.
and Seeger Bonifant, that is an impressive and difficult thing to deal with for Jackson Center. You got to, but Seeger Bonifant showing what he can do, scoring all over the court, inside, outside, and Dylan Kaufman, a great two-person combo between Seeger, Bonifant, and Dylan Kaufman.
Jackson Center, a basketball team, if you're just joining us, undefeated. One of the 2 teams along with Dayton Dunbar that you'll see later on today here on Sports Time Ohio. But for them to come back and get into this, Tony, does it have to start on the defensive end first and foremost? They're going to have to find a way to shut off this very potent Hiland attack.
Well, it really does. I mean, you can't, I don't care if you score 50 points in the second half. If you give up 60, you're going to lose by 30. So this Jackson Center team really has to defend. They got to figure out how to stop Seeger Bonifant and Dylan Kaufman. Once they do that, somebody other than Andy Hoying has to be a presence on the offensive end, and they've got to make some threes, because when you're down 20 in high school basketball, the three-point line is the way you get back into the game.
They're capable, as we saw in the second half. Remember, Jackson Center in the semis against Columbus Afrocentric outscored them 32-20 in the second half, came back and won it. Do they have that kind of recipe in their formula this afternoon? Highlands Hawks on top by 20. More coming up.
This OHSAA Boys Basketball Championship is brought to you by East Bay, the athletic sports source, by Marathon, fueling the American spirit, by your Northeast Ohio Ford dealers, by Conrad's. Challenge Conrad's with anyone's best price and we'll beat it or double the difference back. And by Time Warner Cable. Enjoy sports better, only with Time Warner Cable.
Good to have you with us. Farmers Insurance halftime show here at Value City Arena, Schottenstein Center, 36-16. Highlands Hawks with a deluxe first half, just a superb first half. No other way to say it. Michael Regai alongside Tony White. And this is a basketball program, Tony, when you beget winning, it turns into this type of performance. They're not daunted at all, Highland, by this big stage and the bright lights of this building.
No, they're not. When you shoot 57% from the field, you're not daunted by anything. That's especially 6 of 9 from the three-point line. That's some pretty impressive shooting statistics. You know, both teams are handling the basketball okay, but Bull, for Highland, you're not giving many people many chances when you're shooting 57% and you're burying all but 3 of your three-point shots. That's a pretty impressive first half.
Well, it is, and interestingly enough, again, they were this close to being ousted in those regional finals by Richmond Heights as Seeger Bonifant hit that 3 inside a second left. Tony, let's revisit your vital signs, your keys to the game, and assess them after the first 16 minutes.
Well, I guarantee you Berlin Highland wasn't playing like this when they almost got ousted. They were playing like something else, but they're definitely using their height. 5 blocks, 5 offensive rebounds. We've seen Jackson Center really struggle in the paint against this Berlin Highland height. That's something that Highland is definitely using to their advantage, and Jackson Center has not been really able to defy that Berlin Highland height and to do anything against it on the offensive end. And on the three-point line, I would say that's really negated by Jackson Center. They haven't hit anything. I mean, it's not like they're relying on the 3. I think they'd like to rely on the 3. They'd like to rely on some made shots right now, 2 or 3. So it's not about taking too many threes. It's about taking too many shots that don't go in right now.
What are they going to have to do, though, with Andy Hoying offensively? Because he's just been swallowed up and swarmed on by Gingerich, Bonifant, and Coughlin, that size of Highlands Hawks.
Well, right now it's too tough for Andy Hoying to try and score on the block because there's nobody out there for Jackson Center who's making shots from the perimeter, anything consistently. So everybody's looking at Andy Hoying, and all those big guys for Highland glob onto him down low. I think you're going to have to get Andy Hoying cutting to the basket with the basketball, creating some things on his own so he can get away from that height a little bit. He's got the athletic ability to do that. Let's see if he can do that. Maybe create some openings for some other guards on the Jackson Center team to make some shots.
And we'll watch for that, see if they get him the basketball on the move. That's where you come in. We start the second half in just a moment. Work to do for Jackson Center. Highland by 20.
This OHSAA Boys State Championship is brought to you by Farmers Insurance. We are insurance, we are farmers. By Taco Bell, Live Moss. By East Bay, the athletic sports source. By your Northeast Ohio Ford dealers. And by Conrad's. Challenge Conrad's with anyone's best price and we'll beat it or double the difference back.
Highlands Hawks trying to back up last year's Division IV state championship with another off to a 16-minute stronghold, up by 20. Moments ago, Amanda Turk had a chance to catch up with Jackson Center's head coach Scott Elkert. Amanda?
Sitting here with Jackson Center coach Scott Elkert. Coach, you're a team that gives up 40 a game, and right now you're 4 short of that already. How do you turn it around defensively this half?
Well, one thing's for sure, if we're going to get back in this, we do have to start defending. We've given them too many clean looks on the perimeter, and we know that they've got a lot of offensive threats, so we feel like we've made it too easy on them, and when they've gotten their open looks, there's been no doubt they've knocked them down.
Offensively, you told your team to stop taking those deep outside shots. What do you want to see more from them this half?
Well, I feel like we need to do a better job of attacking the basket. I think we've allowed them to push us back on our heels, and we're very timid. And, I don't mind some of those threes if they're coming from some inside-out action. I feel like we're just relying too strictly on moving the ball on the perimeter, trying to throw one in. So they're big inside, but you still have to be able to attack them inside to open up some more of the outside game.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, Amanda, we appreciate that. Tony, as we mentioned a couple of times in the first half, and it bears repeating, against Afrocentric, tough start, but an enormous second half. Both ends of the floor led to offensive proficiency. Jackson Center is going to have to rewind some of that from Thursday.
Not just some of that, all of that and a lot more.
Okay.
This Hiland team is playing at a super high level right now, showing why they're defending state champions. Jackson Center, I mean, their brand is defense, and that brand did not show up in the first half. They got to get out, get in some passing lanes, maybe create some easy offensive opportunities with their defense that maybe will break them out of this kind of rut that they're in like that. Get some defensive opportunities, get the ball down the court, and make some shots.
A stop right away for Jackson Center from Andy Hoying. So it's Hoying with Alex Meyer, Eric Ryder, Trey Elkert, Troy Opperman, the 5 on the floor, the normal starting 5. For Jackson Center's Tigers, along with Dayton Gunball. 27-0, the only 2 undefeated to the state of Ohio. Get out of here, said Neil Gingerich as he swatted Eric Ryder.
It's really tough to go on the block and inside and score against this Hiland team if you're Jackson Center. You got to think that you got to have to start this comeback if it's going to happen for Jackson Center from the perimeter. People are going to have to make some shots, loosen things up down low, and then look to get the ball on the block.
6'7" Seeger Bonifant. The man will play his college basketball at West Liberty. Dylan Kaufman, University of Findlay, fine D2 program here in the Buckeye State. And this is Kaufman wheeling toward that rim, but Andy Hoying bothered it. Maybe he got a piece of it. Well, a pair of stops on the first 2 Hiland possessions for Jackson Center.
Good start on the defensive end. Now you got to cash in on the offensive end.
Good look at it for Hoying. Back rim that foul line jumper. Run down by Jason Miller of Hiland's Hawks. Miller with Chase Gerber, Dylan Kaufman, Seeger Bonifant. Firing that 3 is Chase Gerber, and he got it to drop.
Great transition offense by Hiland, moving the basketball around, finding the open guy who buries a 3.
A knockdown jumper at the other end for Eric Ryder, the 6'7" junior who averages 6 a game for Jackson Center. But after that 3 from Jason Miller, we're looking at a 7 of 10 from long distance, Tony, for Hiland.
Yeah, and your Jackson Center, you can't trade baskets. Even if it's 3 for 3, you gotta start making more shots than Hiland does. And rebounding is huge about that.
Kaufman on the offensive glass. Everyone accounted had it dropped. It'll go to the free throw line.
This is why it's so tough against Hiland. When you get the ball down low, good entry pass into the post, get the ball in a good position, you still get it blocked. And then on the offensive end, they'll move the basketball around, they'll find the open guy, and that open guy typically has the ability to make a 3.
He handles, he initiates the offense. Tony mentioned in our open, this is the school's all-time leader in points, rebounds, assists, and steals. 6'5", first team All-Ohio, and in Pro Player of the Year, Dylan Kaufman.
Well, he does it all, and that's on display so far today. You can also see he handles the basketball, and he's aggressive. He takes the ball up the court pretty hard.
That's a tough jumper for junior Alex Meyer of Jackson Center that didn't drop.
Jackson Center really with no answer on the offensive end for the firepower this Hiland team brings to the table. This is a tall order for Jackson Center. Undefeated though they may be, Hiland is showing now why they're defending state champions.
Dylan Kaufman on that big step and strong finish at the rim. That backdoor cut for Eric Ryder off his hands and out of bounds, and Jackson Center will turn it over. All right, we are inside the 5-minute mark as Dylan Kaufman finishing strong at the rack. All Hiland's Hawks in pursuit of back-to-back D4 state titles. Big-time coaching job, educating, teaching at hand for Scott Elkert and his ball club that find themselves down by that 25-point deficit. We've got baseball on our minds here at Sports Time Ohio. You know, there's nothing like a Cleveland Indians opening day, and if you're not going to be with us at Progressive Field, then you got to tune in to Sports Time Ohio for complete coverage starting at noon on April 5th. Bruce Brennan will be live from the Rally Alley. Then at 2:30, Dave Chudowski gets you ready for game time with Ford Indians on deck. At Underwood, Rick Manning bringing the Indians and Blue Jays at 3:05 right here only on your home for Cleveland Indians Baseball Sports Time Ohio, Thursday, April 5th, starting at noon. Michael Reggai, Tony White, Amanda Turk with you here courtside at the Schottenstein Center in the city of Columbus. Hiland's Hawks just in an absolute free flow, beautiful rhythm and pace to their game. And you heard Mark Schleybaugh discuss it as that Seager-Bonifant pass is last touch by Hiland's Hawks. It will go Jackson Center's way, but Mark Schleybaugh, you have to be but coaches always look at it. Points of emphasis they can come out with and say, all right, we need to improve this and that. I don't know if there's too much of that for Mark Schleybaugh right now.
Well, there's not a whole lot in the coach's playbook for down 25 at halfway through the third quarter in high school basketball with no shot clock. I mean, that's a tall order. You know, they're undefeated. They've certainly won their share of games.
Yeah.
They're going to have to, if you're Jackson Center to come back here, you need a healthy dose of Berlin Hiland making some large mistakes.
Have to help you out a little bit.
Absolutely, not even a little bit. You got to help you out a heck of a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to turn into a different team right now if you're Jackson Center. That means making shots almost every time down the court. No margin for error if you're Jackson Center.
Yeah, like that, they just turned the basketball over now, try to rip it back away as Alex Meyer of Jackson Center is on the deck with Jason Miller of Hiland, and we've got that timeout. Jackson Center got the 30-second timeout. After they got the basketball back, what looked like it was going to be a turnover. All right, you want to check this out again, a battle for a Division IV state championship. You can look for Hiland's Hawks and the Tigers of Jackson Center and other high school state championship games only on Time Warner Cable, local on demand. It's channel 411. Tony and I are going to do it. You can pause it, fast forward, rewind, and check out your favorite replays, local on demand. We'll see Hiland's Hawks and Jackson Center's Tigers again, free with Time Warner Cable. Enjoy betting.
Jackson Center, no opportunity right here to kind of take your time on the offensive end. You got to shoot shots and make them and shoot them pretty quick, but they still got to be good shots because quick missed shots are not what you want.
Alex Meyer got it swatted away by Gingerich. Ryder saved it. That's a 6-block shot for Gingerich. Way off the mark is freshman Gavin Wildermuth. This is Trey Elker. He can't find the mark on that triple try. 5 opportunities at the offensive end go awry for Jackson Center.
Well, the size of Hiland, not only is it affecting the post play, it's really difficult to get a shot off down there with Gingrich and Bonifant and Dylan Kaufman. Also affecting the guards for Jackson Center. You saw how deep those threes were. That's because Hiland's defense on the perimeter is long and lean as well.
Hoyne went to the hole with that strong first step and is going to get to the free throw line on the foul from Neil Gingrich.
Well, Andy Hoying is the best player on this Jackson Center team, and he's trying to take over. He's trying to pick up the pace on the offensive end, be aggressive with the ball, driving to the hoop. We talked about that at halftime, that something was going to happen with Andy Hoying with the ball in his hands, going towards the rim, dribbling, making it difficult for that size for Hiland to affect his shot, and you saw him there trying to make that happen.
Hoying will split the pair. Andy Hoying is 2 of 8 from the floor. He's got 7 now on the morning. Hiland's Hawks to the offensive end. Dylan Kaufman and Seager Bonifant trying to play 2-man, and that's going to be a reach-in foul that's going to go on Andy Hoying.
If you're Berlin Hiland, you have the luxury now of a 24-point lead, and again, no shot clock. There's no reason, if you're Berlin Hiland, why you shouldn't be looking to take 30, 45 seconds off the clock, unless, of course, you get an easy 3-footer.
Unless you find Dylan Kaufman, right, 6'5" on that block as he just raises up and gets that to fall.
But on the offensive end, if you're Berlin Hiland, there's no reason why you shouldn't be taking 30, 45 seconds off the clock.
Jackson Center just has never been able to get in any kind of good flow offensively because of this swarming active D as Kaufman goes to work on the offensive end.
Or defensively. Jackson Center's a good defensive team, but you saw in that inbounds play, it was way too easy for Berlin Hiland. Jackson Center should be playing much better defense than they are right now, but they're on their heels right now.
Sure they are. Trey Elkert came up with a steal. Hoying's going to cast off from very deep. Gingerich had what looked to be his 7th block shot of the afternoon, but you got to take that away as he got some body underneath of Alex Meyer, who's going to the free throw line.
Good rebound by Meyer, and it wasn't Gingerich who got the foul. It looked like somebody from behind because Gingerich was all over that ball, as he's been all game. Everybody in down low has to account for Gingerich because he has been very active blocking shots and affecting shots.
6 of them total.
Yeah,
6 block shots.
He's been strong. I mean, he has really been a factor down there defensively for Hiland. Every time Jackson Center gets the ball down there, I don't care who it is, guard, forward, center, everybody has to account for Gingerich because he is really changing shots now.
And that started from the time they put the basketball up in the air this morning. As Gingerich has definitely been a difference maker at the defensive end. Get a look at Alex Meyer at the free throw stripe. Late honorable mention in Division 4, the 6'2" junior. Meyer from the free throw line. As we approach the 2-minute mark, and this is Gingerich on the back down. That's a pretty move. A drop step and rolled from right to left and delivered right at the rim.
With his left hand, nice move in the post, good strong move. He took his time, didn't travel, decided to make the shot. You see this Hiland team almost like they're working on their game a little bit. They don't need to be taking shots, but the opportunity presents itself and they're confident, so they take it.
Alex Meyer was bothered by Todd Ropp, who's on the floor. Miller turned that corner. Chase Gerber caught on that left sideline and busted his way to the hoop and got it to go.
Transition offense by Berlin Hiland, getting the ball up the court quickly, finding the open guy who makes a nice move. Transition defense by Jackson Center, not getting back, not picking up your guy, not being aggressive.
Long-range teardrop 3 went down for Troy Opperman, who averages 6 a game and shoots almost 40% from deep.
Well, that's the first step in a long road back, but you can't give up layups just like Jackson Center did there. Berlin Hiland way too easy on the offensive end. Jackson Center's a great defensive team. No great defense today so far.
Neil Gingerich got the easy deuce there, and there's a terrific look by Jason Miller. Opperman. And we've got a whistle off that missed 3. And that's going to be a Jackson Center foul that's going to go on Andy Hoying.
His 4th. Gingerich, good post move, strong dribbles. You don't want to dribble it too much in the post, but he did a good job of going to his left hand. And Jackson Center answering with a rare 3-point shot, a rare made shot by Jackson Center on the offensive end to answer that post move. But Andy Hoying now gets a little bit more bleak for Jackson Center. Andy Hoying's been the only consistent offensive player for him. Just picked up his 4th foul. He's going to be sitting on the bench for a while. I don't think he's going to be there too long because, frankly, your chances of getting back in this game are fleeting. You got to put your best players out there, and if he fouls out, well, he just fouls out.
Sure, they're going to have to be almost flawless now as we hit 30 seconds left in this 3rd quarter. Chase Gerber along with Jason Miller in this very steady senior backcourt of head coach Mark Slayball.
Hiland's going to wait for the last shot. No reason to put a shot up here. Guarantee yourself a 27-point lead heading into the 4th quarter. Seeing if they can make it 30 or 29.
Senior-dominated basketball team, this reigning state champs in D4. Now Miller on the crossover with 5 left in the 3rd. Gerber left that 3 short. Got it off to Jason Miller and not able to drop it home. An impressive first 24 minutes for Hiland's Hawks. They own a 27-point lead in pursuit of what's looking like is going to be back-to-back Division 4 state championships. The Highlands Hawks, as you see, got out to a 10-point beginning in the first quarter. They doubled that up by halftime, and Tony White shoots 60% here in the third quarter. And Neil Gingrich has put on a clinic in this tournament with his shot blocking expertise.
You know, it's hard to figure which is more impressive so far in this championship game for Highland. The offensive diversity they've shown and their ability to make shots, or the defensive energy and effort they've been able to present this Jackson Center team. They've really been dominant on both ends of the court. Their offense was good enough to win a state championship by itself. Their defense has been good enough to win a state championship by itself. You put it together, it adds up to a 27-point lead in the fourth quarter.
That good as Alex Meyer will drain that face-up three that you saw by that graphic a moment ago as we start the fourth quarter. Neil Gingrich, 7 blocked shots in their win over Arlington on Thursday, 6 more today, 13 rejections in this state tournament.
That's pretty impressive. Shows that kid can block some shots on a regular basis.
Oh, look at Kaufman, Tony, that tough catch in traffic and finish off glass.
And a very good pass by Seeger Bonifant, seeing Kaufman cutting and hitting him. You know, this Highland team, they're not sitting on the ball. You know, a lot of teams would be sitting on it saying, yeah, you know, we're up 26. Let's sit on it. Let's watch the state championship roll into us. Highland, they're out there. They're playing hard just like they did the first minute. Good pass right here. Nice look. Good cut by Dylan Kaufman, but Seeger Bonifant seeing a good player cutting down low and giving it up at the right angle, right time.
At our ophthalmological replay as Bonifant will unload and he will stroke another triple.
As I said, Highland not getting off the gas pedal. They're not content to just run the clock out and win a state championship. They want to do it the Highland way, and that is just play their game.
Now Bonifant is going to pick up that personal foul as he got a piece of Andy Hoyne, who was trying to slash to the hoop. Seeger Bonifant, by the way, a perfect 4 for 4 from deep on his three-point firing today.
Many of those three-point shots have been uncontested. I know that Jackson, when they go back and they look at this game, they're going to be really, I mean, you know, sometimes you come in the state championship game and you don't make shots. I mean, everybody understands not making shots. But I think Jackson, when they look at this tape, they're going to be sad at the fact that they didn't bring their A defensive game. The intensity on the defensive end wasn't there. The execution, the technique wasn't there. This is not Jackson Center basketball, and that's going to be disappointing for them because, you know, you always want to look back and say you gave it your best in the state tournament, and I'm not sure Jackson Center did defensively.
Well, how about the way Dylan Kaufman just pushed like a blur with that speed up this sideline and found Neil Gingrich for the quick deuce.
Dylan Kaufman's been doing that all game, pushing the basketball every opportunity he can, even up this many points. Berlin Highland's not going to take anything for granted. They're not going to take any chances. They're going to keep pressing on this game until this game is over. But watch Dylan Kaufman bring the ball up the court in a great pass through 2 defenders of Jackson Center for a cutting teammate. Excellent court vision by Dylan Kaufman.
Troy Opperman is back. As you look at Mark Schleybaugh, it's a very highly decorated head coach of Highlands Hawks with his program. Well, trying to save on that baseline from Jackson is Gavin Wildermuth. And that's going to be the reach-in foul now on Alex Meyer and on Jackson Center. That is their 4th team foul. Of course, it's 7. You shoot the 1 in bonus. A couple minutes deep into this fourth quarter, and as we showed you, 10-point first quarter lead. They went a +10 to double that up and led by 20 at the break, and they have continued to add on. It has been that impressive for Berlin Highlands Hawks. Kaufman had that triple halfway home and then kicked out on him. And now he's got the rip away. This is Dylan Kaufman who'll attack that bucket and had it stripped away.
Still Dylan Kaufman aggressive on the defensive end, always keeping his head up, looking for opportunities to take the basketball and make something happen. Great job anticipating the pass and the transition situation, making the steal and taking the ball by himself down low to try and make the shot. Almost went off his own foot there, but still Highland with the basketball, another opportunity to score here.
Neil Gingrich had to get the basketball secured as he and Bonifant play 2-man. Gingrich Off that right block, Tony, that left-hander with that jump hook today has been pretty special.
That's a move you can see he's practiced for a long time. He knows he's got confidence in that move. Gingrich can get the ball in that block. He knows where he's going with it. He knows how to make it.
Tony, don't you like to see, too, I love seeing the young bigs in high school basketball that technique, footwork-wise, fundamentally very sound, as that's going to be a treble on Jason Miller. But Gingrich is showing all the signs that he's worked all those aspects of his game.
Absolutely. You know, this is looking to be back-to-back state championships for Hiland. And Coach Mark Schleybaugh, this is not something that just got started, last October for this team. These are, you can see these players have been working for years, freshmen, 8th grade, on their game and getting better and learning the basics and learning how to be confident in the right situations. And that's a compliment to the head coach who puts that structure in place and really has his team prepared, 4 or 5 years in advance before they ever take the court in the state championship.
We have 3 opportunities for Jackson Center and not able to convert, and then Bonifant threw it away as we get a little bit ragged and going up and down here. So we're inside the 5-minute mark. Highlands Hawks, 4:54 away from back-to-back Division IV state championship. That's how it's looked, and we know you're enjoying this first of 4 on Sports Time Ohio today. So is that man, Mark Schleybaugh, who's just 4:54 away from back-to-back D4 state championships. Executive producer Pat Kilkenny, game producer Mike Bachman, director Mike Simons, all of our terrific crew. Tony White's here, Amanda Turk. I'm Michael Regai, and you, as you start a huge day here on Sports Time Ohio to award 4 boys state championships. Chase Gerber didn't get that 3 to draw on the rim, and Hoying's going to come back and triple at the other end. Andy Hoying, first team All-Ohio and a D4 Co-Player of the Year, connects for Jackson Center.
And you don't blame him for taking a shot quick at the end, right at the 3-point line. Anytime he's gone inside, he's been hounded by the big guys of Berlin Highland.
Dylan Kaufman trying to save it into the hands of Jackson Center. Hoying will raise up again, and he'll stick a pair of threes. Jackson, he's got an X on that spot on the floor.
I think he knows where he wants to be now, and somebody from Highland maybe I'll just go stand there for a little bit and force him to go somewhere else.
Andy Hoyer starting to find the mark. Seeger Bonifant. The basketball right back into his hands off that missed jumper. Dylan Kaufman initiates offense so much for Mark Schleybaug's squad. Gingrich swarmed on the baseline. And Mark Schleybaugh is going to call a timeout. Oh, there you go. There's always teaching, not liking the looks of that offensive set.
Well, Andy Hoying has been the most aggressive player on the offensive end for Jackson Center. He showed it that first possession. He said, I went down the first time. Let's see if we can do it again. That wasn't a replay, ladies and gentlemen. That's the second shot that he made from the exact same spot. So Andy Hoying showing why he's been a very good player for Jackson Center. He's going to answer the bell. He's got to look at it. You're down 26 with 3:30 left in the fourth quarter. Probably, and not just probably, highly likely it's too little too late. But still, you got to give the kid credit for continuing to fight.
All right, want to get to know your favorite Cleveland Indians on and off the field. A must-do for you before this 2012 season begins. Check out Indians One-on-One with Katie Witham. Sit down with Jason Kipnis, Justin Masterson, and a lot more of your favorites from the tribe. Indians One-on-One with Katie Witham all week long, starting Monday night at 9 p.m. I was thinking back when seeing Berlin Highland down here again for the state championships week, Tony, back to the late 80s in that Columbus Whirly squad that won 3 straight Class A state championships. As Berlin won their last state
Those are super talented Worley teams.
Yeah, very
Funderburk,
talented Worley team.
Eli Brewster, right, Kevin Haddock, those great players on that Worley team. And, great traditions set up by someone who's very familiar here in the state championships, Jerry Francis, former teammate of mine.
Yeah. Jackson Center, as you see, on the western side of the Buckeye State in Shelby County. And, of course, their third trip to the Final Four. They won it in '85. They were runners-up back in 1963, and it's looking like they're not going to be able to finish off the culmination of a 28-0 dream season. They ran into a basketball team that simply Hiland's Hawks came on. Not only, again, having been here before, and I don't know how much that was a factor in Jackson Center being a little bit intimidated by this big stage, because they came back and played very efficiently in the second half on Thursday.
Yeah, I don't think this is about Jackson Center not being prepared for the state championship game or not being able to handle the pressure of the state championship game. This is just Hiland, just exerting their will on another team. This is an impressive performance. Hiland's got all of the tools at the Division IV level to be a dominant team, and they're just dominating. That's what dominant teams do. They dominate, and that's what Hiland is doing right now. They're just showing why they're the best team in the state and defending state champion.
Well, look at Gingerich high on that glass.
Jackson Center substitution number 4, Nathan Hensley replacing.
No, Hiland's Hawks, we mentioned the back-to-back with this huge lead here in the fourth quarter. You see them from Holmes County. They won 4 consecutive Inter Valley Conference championships. And their state championships, this is going to be number 3 coming up here in a matter of a couple of minutes in their 4th trip to the big party in Columbus.
This Hiland team starts 5 seniors. A great tradition when you step out there with 5 guys who've been in your program for 4 years and know what it takes. And now they're getting their accolades coming off the court one by one. Seeger, Bonifant, Gingrich coming off. Kids who played really well today and really stepped up, as they did last year as juniors, to win a state championship. And, of course, Dylan Kaufman, who has been the dominant player for this Hiland team this year and last year.
Dylan Kaufman hearing about it as there's Kaufman joining Seeger Bonifant and Neil Gingerich. Now Jason Miller, of course, brother Jalen, along with Noah Boyd, were standouts last year. And I got to mention, too, they lost Luke Birch for the season, a young man who tore his ACL and kept around the team as a manager both at practice and on game nights. And that was a tough loss for them to overcome, as that young man missed out on his senior season.
I think they overcame it pretty well.
Yes, they did. All right, so reserves from both benches in to finish this one out.
And this is where the color commentator is quiet and lets the play-by-play guy figure out who's doing
thank
what
you, partner,
on the court. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So you're going to go quiet on me now.
I'll just talk about Dylan Kaufman and how Seeger Bonifant and Gingrich were dominant. I'll let you tell the millions of people watching this game exactly who's doing what on the court.
Fair enough.
I don't want to get in your way, partner.
No, you're okay. Believe me. Cody Gerber is a young man at the free throw line. Gerber is a 6'1" senior. Got a little bit of playing time this year.
But you have to say, I mean, what a great experience for these kids, from Hiland and from Jackson Center, who aren't starters, don't get to play in a lot of games, but to have the opportunity to play in a state championship game, for the Hiland guys, to play and win. That's something magical. Even the Jackson Center guys, just to be able to play and say you were on the court when your team went undefeated and unfortunately lost in the last game, but you were out there, you were a part of that.
Sure.
Not just in warm-ups, but on the court. That's something special. That's something you tell your kids and your grandkids.
We've got a chance to participate. And again, Cody Gerber on the floor for Hiland's Hawks. So that three from Jordan Yoder of Hiland is not going to go with 1:47 left. Did you have a chance to play in a state championship game?
I did not.
Did not, nor did I. Not in
not.
basketball, anyway.
And by the way, not only is it, what's better than playing? I mean, if you're not a starter, you don't play a lot. It's one thing to play, and that's a great thing.
Yeah.
The next best thing is to score. So now the last 1:47 is going to be about everybody out there wanting to say, hey, I didn't just play. I scored in the state championship game for my team. So that's always an entertaining part of the at the end of games that are not exactly close.
Like Joey Fry just did. Joey Fry, a 5'8" junior, wears number 20 for Jackson Center. Long-range three is fired up for Hiland by Hiland's Hawks by Cameron Miller. And traffic trying to force that up. Young man getting some playing time for Jackson Center. Jonathan Forsythe wears number 44. Cameron Miller again missing that three for Hiland's Hawks. 64 seconds left.
If you're both coaches on the sidelines here, you're just hoping for no injuries. You don't want anybody getting hurt out there. Just let's play this game out. Everybody have fun, and no injuries. Nobody do anything silly.
Lucas Mast, Jaden Beachy, a couple of more young men on the floor. Mast. There's number 31 and Beachy number 45 for Hiland. Checking in for Jackson Center, Ivan Winter. As we're inside the 60-second mark to put the caps on back-to-back Division IV state championships. Going to the hoop for Hiland's Hawks, Jaden Beachy. Got that to fall, the 6-foot junior. So he's in the scorebook.
You see Hiland next year, unless somebody transfers into the district, they're not going to have the size that they had this year. They're going to be a different basketball team. But you know what? Two-time defending state champion, you can never count them out.
Jordan Yoder and one coming from the free throw line as he attacked the hoop.
Well, like Hiland's been doing all game, transition, pushing the ball in transition. Clearly part of the game plan was to come up out on this court and run Jackson Center. See if they can handle a transition basketball type of a game. Jackson Center wanted to slow it down, never could slow it down. Jackson Center giving up only 40 points a game, right, on pace to almost give up 70 points to Hiland. That says it all right there.
Stick around for our post-game award celebrations for both runner-up Jackson Center and the Division IV state champions, Hiland's Hawks, which is just now 5 seconds away. So let the energy begin from the Hiland side. Back-to-back Division IV state championships. You can ring it up for Hiland's Hawks. They followed up their 2010-2011 state title over Sissy Harvest Prep with another one today, a 68-36 victory over Jackson Center's Tigers. All right, let's take a look at our Taco Bell player of the game. Tony White's got to be Seeger Bonifant, who came out firing and was nearly flawless from the floor.
Seeger Bonifant was good all year for Hiland, but boy, he wasn't just good, he was great for Berlin Hiland today. Just a tremendous effort all over the court, making shots inside, outside. He was a force on the offensive end, and Jackson Center really had no answer for him all throughout the course of the game, and that shows how good he is.
Seeger Bonifant with a terrific 18-point performance, went 4 for 4 from 3, and the champion is with our Amanda Turk. Amanda?
Thanks, Michael. Seeger, back-to-back titles. How special is this for you and the other seniors and the rest of the team?
Oh, you can't describe it in words. You know, all these people come, I mean, thousands of them, you know. I mean, all the hard work we put in, all the hard work coaches put in every night, going to watch hundreds of games, you know, it's awesome.
Now, being up the first half, how do you keep your composure during the second half with all the momentum on your side?
We just, I mean, that was just, they were in that after Centric, they were down 9, they came back and won. We just had to say it's 0-0. We got to keep our focus, keep our intensity defensively, and come out and get the win.
Seeger, what finger are you going to put this ring on?
I'm going to put them on both of these. I got 2 now, so it'll work good.
All right, go celebrate.
Thank you.
Back to you, Michael.
All right, Amanda. Yeah, what a feeling. The seniors in this program just distinguished themselves, not only back-to-back state champions, but, Tony, they've put together now a legacy that it's going to be very difficult to duplicate at this high school.
Yeah, not just winning the state championship on the second time through, but winning it by almost 30 and dominating a team in Jackson Center that came in undefeated. It's not like you came in playing against a team that was 500. This is an undefeated Jackson Center team that just got blown off this court.
Yeah, they're a dynamic duo to be sure. That we're the red and black of the Hiland Hawks. Dylan Kaufman, a first-team Division IV talent, co-player of the year, goes for 17 today. Tony, we mentioned all-time leading scorer, two-time D4 player of the year, and Seeger Bonifant, who was fantastic today with his 18-point performance on 7 of 11 from the floor.
They were a dynamic duo, just really. You know, and it wasn't just them. You'd like to say it was just them if you're Jackson Center, but really, it was the whole Hiland team. They came out offensively, defensively, 5 guys just executing very well. The aggressiveness was very impressive in transition on the defensive end. And everything they were doing, they were aggressive. They had a style. They had a mentality. And Hiland, from guy 1 to guy 8, they were out there playing their game, and Jackson Center just could not keep up.
You see the runner-up awards being given to the Tigers of Jackson Center, and our awards presentations brought to you by Jackson Insurance Farmers Group.
Manager Christopher Alpert.
Well, Jackson Center putting the caps on. I know they're disappointed, but a 27-1 season, and weren't able to win their first championship since 1985. Scott Elkert, second stint at this program. He was here at Jackson Center, went to Upper Sandusky, and then came back to coach the program. You know, he was saying there's no pressure being undefeated coming down here, because his theory was, Tony, that everybody that came to Columbus, he looked at it, everybody was 6-0 from the time the tournament started.
Well, that's the right way to look at it. It's just, you know, it's got to be disappointing for these kids. You never to experience any defeat until you get to the very end, and to lose the last game of the season, that's in the state championship game, that's tough.
Let's listen to Jerry Snodgrass, Assistant Commissioner of the Ohio High School Athletic Association.
Together like high school basketball in Ohio. 4,000 people from 2 communities, 2 school systems, purchased tickets to support young men. Thousands of others across the state did the same thing. I would ask you that all of us join together for these student athletes and give one final round of applause for those that played on the last day of high school basketball in the state of Ohio. We're proud of all of you. Coach Elkert and the Tigers, a lot of people go away from any game and say it's only a game. All of you, your fans, you more than anyone know that it's more than a game. It's a journey. That journey for most of you started locked in a gym for a couple of days, sleeping on a gym floor, checking in the cell phones, checking in the egos. You started a journey. That journey paid off by playing in the championship game in the state of Ohio. Every school dreams of being here. You are here. You will wake up, you will go back to school on Monday. Those of you that are underclassmen, you'll start that journey again. Those of you that are seniors, you're going to get up, you're going to go to school, and you're going to be successful in whatever you do in your life because of the experiences and because of the journey. The sign that's in Phil's Market that says, watching Tiger basketball, it's priceless. Your community should band together. Supporting Tiger basketball is indeed priceless. Coach Elkert, Tigers, I've known you for some time, and I remember several years ago that you told me that you could not wait to go back home to Jackson Center to coach basketball. You're back home. When you go home, you're also taking back a trophy that's going to stay in your school for a long time, a proud trophy. On behalf of our member schools and everyone in this arena, we're proud to present you this runner-up trophy in Division IV for 2012. Congratulations, man.
So the hardware given to the Jackson Center Tigers after a truly phenomenal ride that does end with a little bit of disappointment after being an unblemished 27-0 and with that terrific come-from-behind win over Columbus Afrocentric in the semifinals to win 53-50 on Thursday. They now accept the runner-up hardware that they will proudly display at Jackson Center High School. All right, and how about now for the Division IV back-to-back state champions, Berlin Highlands Hawks. Well, they started out shooting the basketball so beautifully, and Seeger Bonifant, Tony White, got it rolling as he was a perfect 4 for 4 in the day from deep.
Well, Seeger Bonifant was one of many people making three-point shots for Berlin Highland. 8 of 8 teams in the three-point line for Highland. And it was certainly Seeger Bonifant was one of the better ones, 4 for 4 for himself, but they were really making threes. And you gotta really wonder, how good of a team this Berlin Highland team is in the history of Division IV, because back-to-back state championships, nobody's really done that in a long, long time. And this is a team that's all seniors, played last year, won a state championship last year as juniors. Now winning it again as seniors and winning it with an exclamation point or 3. Up 28 points on an undefeated team in Division IV that, scrappy in Jackson Center. Highland really showing that they were the class of Division IV, and it really wasn't even close. Yeah, I got to wonder, in the history of Division IV basketball, how high do you rank this Highland squad?
Just saw Luke Birch, the young man we just mentioned that tore his ACL and was not able to play, as Seeger Bonifant, Dylan Kaufman, Neil Gingerich, a senior-dominated squad. And again, I agree with you about the annals of the smaller school champions here throughout the history of the state of Ohio. We mentioned many times during the game that they were trying to join Columbus Worley back in the late 80s as repeat champions here. Back then it was single A that Worley did it in until they went to divisions in the late 80s. But yeah, we're going to have to put them, I think, with some of the best ever. It's all arguable. It makes great discussion, but when back-to-back state championships in this type of convincing fashion, they've got to belong in at least the top couple, 2 or 3 of the small schools.
Well, something was in the water back 18 years ago in Berlin, Ohio, because 2 6'7" guys and a 6'4" guy, in this senior class, that's very unusual for a small school Division IV team, and that in and of itself would be a very big challenge for a lot of Division IV schools to go up against. But when you talk about those guys being really, really talented, that means that you have a dominant team.
Let's listen to Assistant Commissioner Jerry Snodgrass again.
Coach Slayball, Hawk fans, 20 years ago, these communities that represent Berlin Highland came to Columbus and won their first state title in boys. Last year, they took home a state title. Coach Slaybach, Most people know how difficult and how lucky you have to be to get here to the championship game. Few realize how difficult it is to get here 2 years in a row. It is a challenge, and as I mentioned earlier, it's a journey all in itself. One of the things that your athletic director, Mark, you shared this with me also, that it was so much of this was based upon the community's support. The communities of Winesburg, the communities of Walnut Creek, and the communities of Berlin. Everyone became part of this championship game and now this championship trophy. On behalf of all of our member schools and all of the people represented in this arena, our board of directors and Commissioner Ross, it is with tremendous pride that we present you this 2012 championship trophy and Division IV. Hawks, congratulations.
You heard Jerry Snodgrass mention all the tremendous communities that make up consolidation of Berlin Hiland High School as they celebrate their second Division IV state championship. In Columbus, Worley, of course, won the 3 in a row from 87-88 on through the 89-90 Ohio high school basketball seasons. We got to hear from the head coach of Hiland's Hawks, Mark Schleybaugh. That's on the other side with Amanda Turk following. Hiland 68-36, resounding. They are back-to-back Division IV state championship winners, the Hawks of Berlin Hiland. Nets coming down, pictures being taken. 68-36 victory over Jackson Center. Amanda Turk checks in with a guy who, to this, it's becoming old hat. Head coach of Hiland, Mark Schleybaugh. Amanda?
Thanks, Michael. I'm sitting here with the state champion of the Hiland Hawks, head coach. Coach, during the timeout, fourth quarter, you're looking at your seniors on the bench, and I don't think I've ever seen a bigger smile on anybody's face.
You know, I was just so happy with the way our guys played in that third quarter. It's hard to come out and play well with the lead like we had, and our guys, the effort in the second half was just as good as the effort in the first half, and we knew we were 8 minutes away and just had to hold it together there, and we were pretty excited.
Do you think last year's experience at the state championship helped with today's game?
I think so. There's a lot of stuff that as high school players and coaches we're not used to with the pregame stuff, and so it's hard to play in that environment if you haven't done it before, and so it definitely helped us.
All of your seniors contributed, but your core three were unbelievable today.
They had an unbelievable game. They had a great game, and they've been great all year, and we knew that you know, our 5 guys that we started were going to have great games, and they all did.
Coach, how are you going to celebrate tonight?
Oh, I don't know. We'll just we'll have fun on the bus ride home, and I don't know. We'll just have a good time.
All right, Coach, go cut down the net. Michael, back to you.
They'll think of something, Amanda, I'm sure, as they have an opportunity. And again, it's becoming something that you have to understand when you start in October, November, Tony, and even in the summertime. You know, the goals you set and the way you have to go about your business, because you know that they were the hunted, to be sure, in Division IV around the state of Ohio, and they backed up that championship a year ago with another one.
Well, that's why it's a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons it's so difficult to repeat is that everybody wants you. Everybody's got a target on your back, and you've got to be able to play not just at the level that won you a state championship the first time, but at a level a couple notches up, because you are the hunted team.
Tony and I are going to be with you as you see the rest of the day here on Sports Time Ohio. We'll call Portsmouth's Trojans and the Silver Knights of Cincinnati Summit Country Day. We start at 1:30, so make sure you're back in a little over an hour for that. And then Mike Cairns and Brad Sellers, D2, Elida and Dayton Dunbar, and then that D1 battle tonight with Jerry Francis, your former teammate. The Pickering Central gang against Toledo Whitmer. A battle of a lot of Division I football talent here in the state of Ohio with those two schools, Michael Regai and Tony White. But for Berlin Hiland, we called their championship win last year over Canal Winchester Harvest Prep, and this is just an impressive program, senior dominant, with kids that had the will to come back and not be denied.
Yeah, and had the will to go out and really win this game the way you're supposed to as a defending state champion, with no doubt. I mean, they really played well. You often wonder how it was so close in the regionals, them playing like this. This is just a team, they're a championship team. They stepped up, they played the way they had to play, and they dominated the game. And that's what you want to do if you're the defending state champion.
That they did, and again, congratulations to head coach Scott Elkert and Jackson Center. Weren't able to put the caps on an undefeated basketball campaign, but you know, at 20, they came down here and only Jackson Center and Dayton Dunbar are the only two teams in this state that were perfect and had a marvelous year.
Well, you know, a great season. You're undefeated. That's a great season playing in the state championship. There is nothing to be ashamed about for Jackson Center. You just ran into a team of the ages in the Division IV level that was really hard to compete with.
Partner, catch your breath. We'll see you in about an hour. That's going to do it for the Division IV state championship game as Highlands Hawks ring up a 68-37 win over Jackson Center. Tony and I are back. Division III state championship game. For all the crew, for Tony and Amanda, I'm Michael. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you in a few.